Well, depending upon the translation that you have and that you read, you may not find this word showing up. It only shows up about 10 times in the Psalms. There are other ways in which it's identified because the Hebrew word is used for two things, both be in awe of God and also fear God. So the Hebrew term is in some ways the same, and the response is similar. They will tell of the power of your awesome work, and I will rejoice, and I will proclaim your great deeds. This comes from the 145th Psalm as well. Sometimes when I'm getting into my vehicle, I get in and my left knee bumps the dashboard, and at that spot is where the light system for my headlights work. And then if it's at night, I get up and then I get in the car and then my lights won't go on. And I say, ah! It's a different kind of awe. It's kind of like, awareness of my stupidity, awareness of my inability to figure out how to get in without doing that. So I am filled with a certain amount of awe that I keep doing that. Likewise, one of the family members that we have, or one of you will show something on YouTube or Facebook. And what I often see are the northern lights at Aurora Borealis. It's just an incredible sight. And sometimes the blazing lights lead me to say, how beautiful, how beautiful. Then this past week, I met a gentleman I had not seen in some time. He came up to our table and said, excuse me, I just wanted to say hello. And we chatted a bit. And he wanted to know how I was doing because Nancy did not know him. And I said, doing well and enjoying life. And then I said to him, how are you doing? And he said, not so good. Our son died this fall. Son who was in his 30s died suddenly. And I found myself saying, that's got to be so painful. So in reality, the term awe, A-W-E, is often used as a way of description of the excitement we feel about something that is beyond us, something that is incredible and wonderful to view. So we see nature and its incredible gifts to us. And sometimes it's used as a way of describing our inability to understand the power that's beyond us, some powers that seem to control other things, including our behavior. Well, I was in my car on the day after New Year's and doing some errands. And normally when the heat is on, it's making so much noise that I generally can't hear what's on the radio anyway. But anyway, my car was warm enough, and I turned it up so I could hear what was on, and it turned out I was on NPR, and Terry Gross was identifying some of the most delightful programs that she had sponsored. And what she has is a program called Fresh Air. And she was interviewing a gentleman who had done a fair amount of research into the science of awe. The science of awe. Well, I said to myself, that's incredible that I should happen to be on the road, on the radio, listening to this. I'm going to talk about that this Sunday. Awe is defined as showing a feeling or a response of overwhelming wonder, reverence, admiration, mixed with a bit of amazement and fear. It's a response to something grand that challenges your understanding, leaving you feeling small but deeply moved, often described as being struck dumb or speechless. In some ways, the definition fails to do justice to the experience of awe. An article that I had picked up as well during the week was from Men's Health, which was published May 27th, 2019. And in it, Michael Barr, and it was entitled, "What the Heck is Awe and Why is it so Powerful?" And he begins with a story of their preparation. He and his 7-year-old son were going to watch an early morning eclipse that was happening very early. So they had rented a motel near Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then proceeded to go to 6,500 square feet into the mountain range, and then could see this incredible sight. And he said, now, I was somewhat doubtful that this was going to be all that important an experience, because he had been to Machu Picchu, he had been to Victoria Falls, he had also been to the Himalayas, had not apparently climbed, but interviewed for articles those who were climbing and the Sherpas. So he said, I've seen awe-filled experiences. But there I am with our 7-year-old son, and we get up very early and we make it up to that spot, and we're looking at what is about to be the sun as it begins to rise up into the horizon. And then as the eclipse began to occur, and then it covered up totally, he said, I watched my son and he was jumping up and down with excitement. Whoa, 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 he said. And he said, that ended my doubt. He said, I concluded indeed that something very special had happened. He had experienced awe, the awe. He said then about his child's pure and unmitigated elation ended his indifference, as did his cosmic view of the cosmic spectacle that seemed to slow time for him. I was energized, intellectually aroused, and overcome with unbounded optimism. Now, I'm impressed with a number of quotes that I find. This is an interesting one. There are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Do you know who said that? Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein understood the concept of awe, that somehow there was something very special about everything in life that we encountered and experienced. I'm delighted when I see a small child and they're roaming around at the wedding recently that we had here. There was a little guy during the rehearsal who was just all over the place, looking at things, looking at the Christmas tree and the lights, and just checking everything out. Checking it out. And I said to his mother, can you imagine how much information is being pumped into that little child's brain so early on? This child, in a sense, is already experiencing the awe. Wow, light, wow, color, wow, this experience, an incredible experience of discovery. You should know that the experience of awe has psychological benefits that connect you to the wonder of something larger than yourself. So it's likely to be a good therapeutic prescription for people who are narcissistic if they could just develop a sense of awe over others who are different than they are, a sense of awe for those experiences they have that are human relationship experiences, a sense of awe that somehow would help them understand that they are not the only person on earth, but they are part of a larger community of humans, a larger community of people as we understand it, who are part of the family of God. Awe also fosters creativity. Experiments that have been done with folks who were provided with all kinds of images of delicious food and ended with a gorgeous display of a cake that had been prepared by a chef. And they were then offered at the end, they had been their spirits had been identified early on with various kinds of tests. Then they were offered to have that piece of that cake or to be able to have all the ingredients to make it themselves. Nearly every one of the persons in that experiment said, we'd love to learn how to make that cake ourselves. And that's what they did. It inspired creativity and imagination and curiosity, awe. That's amazing to me that someone knows how to do mathematics in that unique way. I have so much fun communicating back and forth with our grandson, Tyler, who's just finished his master's degree in statistics and mathematics. And whenever I see something that baffles me, I say to him, tell me more about how that happens. And so he tells me, and I'm filled with awe at his knowledge, his brain capacity. It's delightful. Likewise, awe has the capacity to improve your health. The more that you find ways of saying awe or being filled with a sense of awe at the amazing gifts that are part of the universe in which we live. The flower that you see as you're walking through the woods, just a tiny little flower, and it survived the deer who haven't found it yet, or some other animal that loves to eat those very delightful flowers, or a sunrise or a sunset, or just watching the sun at the end of the evening filter through the leaves of the trees as you sit on your deck and enjoy the life that you have. The air that you breathe, the heartbeat that you have, the relationship that you have with your partner, with your wife, with your husband, or your grandchildren, your children, the kind of special connection you have within the community of faith here at this church is an awe-filled experience. So the likelihood that you will feel healthier and more whole, that you will experience that kind of growth in your physical being will be as a result of the more frequently you experiencing the awe moment. And finally, interestingly enough, the scientists went beyond that and they said, what does it mean to people in terms of their spiritual growth? Now, it's not surprising that the Old Testament scholars, as they wrote the translations of the Psalms, said this in Psalm 65, verse 8, the whole earth is filled with awe at your wonders. Where morning dawns, where evening fades, you call forth songs of joy. Psalm 66, verse 3 begins with, say to God, how awe-inspiring are your works. And finally, the psalm that we read, they tell of the power of your awesome works and I proclaim your great deeds. Praying on a daily basis, yes. Experiencing life as a miracle and the events of life as a miracle, whether they're joyful ones or those that bring challenge to your life. Those are gifts that allow you to say, thank you. With your help and the help of friends, I can deal with this. Am I glad I'm alive? The gift of awe is a special gift. Use it often, experience it frequently, and grow and be happy. Amen.